absolutely no one seen Sean Strickland beating Khamzat Chimaev. Strickland winning that fight was like a real life Rocky movie. Today, I'm going to cover exactly why I believe Khamzat gassed early and how you can avoid gassing out and perform until the end of hard rounds, competitions and fights. So just a quick background check of myself so you're not wondering,
who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
I'm a BJJ brown belt and head coach out of the Chris Rees Academy HQ in Swansea, Wales. I've been training BJJ and MMA for 10 years and I've been involved in martial arts for over 13 years. I've got an active team of fighters and helped mould amateur MMA champions, professional boxers, multiple time world champion grapplers, whether that be via MMA coaching or strength and conditioning and nutritional coaching online. We've seen traditional Chimaev in round one. He comes out the gates like a bull in a china shop, gets Strickland down almost immediately and controls the whole first round. Although Strickland does a great job of being composed and not letting Khamzat lock in the RNC. But the second round was something nobody ever seen coming. In what world would we ever see Sean Strickland out wrestling Khamzat Chimaev? Well, this one. Khamzat shot, fails a double and actually gets forced to play guard for the first time in his whole career. The tide was quickly turning. At the end of the second round, Khamzat was spent, his striking looking weary, and Sean was starting to really play his game and land some big shots. And even though Chimaev managed to get back into the fight on the feet, he really couldn't output what was necessary to win. Now, there's a lot of stipulation out there saying that if Khamzat didn't gas, we would have seen a completely different fight. Was it his weight cut? Could it have been his crazy conditioning from the training lab from Coach Cal? Or was it something completely different that nobody's talking about? I'm actually going to keep this one as a little secret right till the end, so stick along because I think this is the biggest reason of them all. Alright, let's get into it. How much did the weight cut affect his performance? There were talks of Khamzat going up to 205 to fight Jiri Prochazka, and as you can see here, his brother literally confirms it. He said there was an issue with the weight cut and the question was to cancel a fight or continue the cut. When there was 1.2 kilos left, his body was shutting down. He also said, as you can see here, Khamzat is not the type of person to refuse in situations like that. So he accepted the fight and decided to continue to cut down from 105 to 84 kilos. That's a total of 21 kilos of weight loss. Now, it is still unclear in what time frame this was in. You have to realise that even though he's lost 21 kg, and that's a serious amount of weight to lose,
Khamzat гоняет почти в этот раз он 21 килограмм.
that doesn't mean he actually cut that weight. Weight loss and a weight cut are two very different things. The weight cut is done on the week of the fight. It's done in many different ways, primarily via fluid/hydration manipulation along with carbohydrate, fibre and sodium depletion, and of course the final sweat out in a sauna or a hot bath. Khamzat works with a well-known nutritionist in Capo Nutrition. He's helped countless elite athletes make weight and perform just fine. The only concern on my side is a statement from his brother saying there was still 1.2 kilos left to go and his body was shutting down. If they were seriously considering ending the cut and making statements like his body's going to shut down, then that'll certainly have an effect on your performance no matter what nutritionist you have in your corner. Even Khamzat himself said he didn't know how he was going to fight in that state, and for a bloke like Khamzat to say that, it must have been serious. As a nutritionist, it's not easy telling an athlete that they shouldn't do the cut. Elite athletes, unfortunately, always get the last say, especially an athlete like Khamzat that's going to totally disregard his own health to perform. In my opinion, this should be completely down to the corner team. They should go, speak to the nutritionist, and then make a final decision from there. Before I make a final conclusion on why I believe he was gassed, let's take a little look into his conditioning. There is absolutely massive controversy over this. There are super knowledgeable S&C coaches all over the world completely disagreeing with the way Khamzat approaches conditioning. So let's dive into it. Coach Calcutta has coached tons of elite level athletes, to name a few: TJ Dillashaw, Cub Swanson, Khamzat, Arman Sarukian and way more. He's very well known for his super intense conditioning sessions that push athletes to the brink of breaking and then a little further. Now, this style of training definitely has its time and place. Every athlete needs to be put in a dark place in camp to know they can get through ultimately tough times. But I do believe this should be done very sparingly and actually on the mats, using things like shark tanks where the athlete has back-to-back rounds with fresh partners, and circuits designed to mimic different elements of the sport and push the athlete to the brink physically and mentally.
It's just 5 rounds. I fight a title fight, right? Yeah, so it's 5-minute rounds, and that's the spider. We work up to that because it's such a crazy workout and you want to peak at the right time, but it just involves everything. You know, your lactic, all 3 arms, legs, full body, very fight specific type of movements like takedowns, run the pipe, suplexes, all that type of stuff. It's just got a bit of everything. You bring the adrenaline rush up as much as you can. That's why the intensity is always high, and just to really give you that fight feel. So that's why we do it.
The guys at the training lab have indeed helped athletes win world titles with this method of training, including TJ Dillashaw. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right. There's certainly an element of survivorship bias on this, in my opinion. Survivorship bias is when we see a very small percentage of people see success from a method, and we see it because they're so popular. Whereas we don't see the other massive percentage of people who use the same methods and fail. So what is the issue that myself and loads of other strength and conditioning coaches have with this? When an athlete is deep into a fight camp, the central nervous system is already seriously put to the test. Sparring rounds are increased in camp, training volume is increased massively, and all round, athletes are already pushing their physical and mental capabilities to the absolute maximum. This style of training really can be the tipping point that drains a fighter to the point of no returns in terms of recovering day to day and week to week. We can also see absolutely monumental cardiovascular adaptations from methods that are far less fatiguing on the athlete. They require far less time and ultimately allow the athlete to recover and save their energy for what matters most, which is the sport itself. I've got a free conditioning guide that's designed specifically for the MMA and BJJ athlete and hobbyist, allowing you to build a monster gas tank without burning out and destroying your training on the mats. If you want a copy, hit the link in the description and it's all yours. All right, last but definitely not least, my little secret and the thing that nobody is talking about. Sean Strickland. It's easy to point the finger at Khamzat's nutritionist or his S&C coach or really any other poor fucker who's trying to just help him out. Was it the weight cut? Was it his intense conditioning? Or was it Sean Strickland? My opinion, all of the above. MMA is all encompassing and there are so many factors that contribute to how a fight plays out and the individual's performance come fight night. When you combine a serious weight cut that almost called the fight off after intentions of going to light heavyweight, a new very intense conditioning protocol against a tall, rangy, very efficient fighter, it's never an easy win. The thing is, as you'll know, MMA and BJJ are already super demanding sports, never mind at the upper echelon. We've seen Khamzat apply this style over 3 rounds previously, but when he's fought high-level anti-wrestling guys like Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns, we have seen Chimaev fade. Put this over 5 rounds against an efficient cardio powerhouse like Strickland, and you have to think that maybe some tactical errors were made early on, especially with how flat Khamzat was feeling going into the fight. It's very easy to point the finger, and everybody loves somebody to blame. And I'm not blaming any aspect of it individually, but I do think the whole thing put together is an elixir for a tough fight with less ability to put on a world-class performance over 5 rounds. With all this being said, how can you avoid gassing out in competition or tough rounds where you've just really got to dig in? I've also covered this in far more detail on how to build a monster gas tank on another one of my YouTube videos. But in a nutshell, you need to cover these bases to make sure you can perform and recover day to day. First off, we've got nutrition. It doesn't matter if you've got a Ferrari, if you're putting diesel in it. Take your nutrition seriously and eat like an adult. Now we have making weight. Having correct weight cutting protocols in place is absolutely paramount if you're competing. Cut weight incorrectly and go in with a rehydration plan off ChatGPT, you're setting yourself up for failure. Get a coach on board who knows what they're doing. Performance is important, but your health matters more than anything, and cutting is dangerous. And also, unless you're at a professional level, do not try and copy these professional athletes' methods of cutting weight. Sit at a weight where you can make weight relatively easy. This way, you're able to compete regularly and spend more time thinking about competing than you are actually making weight. And last but not least, we've got S&C. Lift weights, get strong, build your aerobic base, do your lactic capacity work, and do your sprint intervals. It's all good and well being technical, but if you haven't got the engine or the athleticism to back it up, well, you're fighting a losing battle and leaving serious performance benefits on the table. I've left plenty of free strength and conditioning programs, coaching programs, and meal ideas in the description below, all to help you take your training, performance, and recovery to the next level. So if you want to grab a copy, go in the description and take a little look. And if you feel like you need more one-to-one help with this, don't be afraid to reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is also in the description. Even if it's just for a bit of friendly advice, I'll be super happy to help. There we have it, my take on Chimaev's performance and endurance versus Sean Strickland. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments and what you believe we see if we do end up getting a rematch between Khamzat and Sean. Will Khamzat make the adjustments to beat the cardio powerhouse in Sean Strickland like McGregor did in McGregor Diaz 2? Will he maul Strickland like most of us presumed he would the first time? Or will we see the real life Rocky Balboa confirm that he's just got Khamzat's number? Hope you guys enjoyed. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below because there's plenty more where that come from.